Hey there, fellow history buffs! Ever wondered how capitalism shaped the USA into the powerhouse it is today? Let's dive into this fascinating journey, shall we? First up, the colonial era. The seeds of capitalism were sown when European settlers arrived in the New World. They brought with them the ideas of private property and free markets. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, though. This period was marked by the brutal exploitation of indigenous peoples and the start of the transatlantic slave trade, which laid the groundwork for America's economic system. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution. This era was a game changer. Think steam engines, railroads, and factories popping up everywhere. Entrepreneurs like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller became household names. They built vast fortunes, but their practices also highlighted the stark inequalities of capitalism. This led to the rise of labor unions and calls for regulation. Now, let's talk about the Roaring Twenties. This decade was the epitome of capitalist excess. Stock markets soared, and consumerism was at an all-time high. But, as we all know, what goes up must come down. The Great Depression hit in 1929, bringing the economy to its knees. It was a harsh lesson in the volatility of unregulated capitalism. Post-World War II America saw capitalism take on a new form. The government played a more active role in the economy. Think the New Deal, Social Security, and the GI Bill. This period saw unprecedented economic growth and the rise of the American middle class. And here we are today, in the era of globalization and tech giants. Companies like Apple, Amazon, and Google dominate the market. Capitalism has driven innovation and economic growth, but it also brings challenges like income inequality and environmental concerns. So, what does the future hold for capitalism in the USA? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, its impact on America is undeniable.
Today, we're diving into a hot topic: Disney's impact on the entertainment industry. While Disney's success as a capitalist enterprise has brought about significant growth and innovation, there are several downsides and criticisms associated with its approach. Let's explore some key issues. First up, monopolistic practices and market dominance. Disney's acquisitions of major companies like Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and 21st Century Fox have significantly increased its market share. This has led to concerns about reduced competition in the entertainment industry. Next up, the rise of streaming services. With the launch of Disney Plus in 2019, the company has become a dominant force in the global streaming market. However, this move has also led to price hikes for consumers who want access to all its content. Lastly, the high cost of content production. To keep up with the competition and ensure that their content remains fresh and innovative, Disney is investing billions into producing new shows and movies for their various platforms. This can potentially result in higher subscription fees for consumers in the future. So there you have it. Disney's dominance in the entertainment industry comes with both benefits and drawbacks. It's important to stay informed about these issues to make smart choices when it comes to our entertainment spending.
Today, we're exploring the ancient and medieval roots of welfare, spanning all the way back to the Stone Age. Did you know that welfare has its roots in early societies dating back to the Stone Age? Ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome had rudimentary systems in place to support their poor citizens. These systems included grain doles, public granaries, and charitable acts. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, where feudal society was the norm. During this time, peasants were under the protective care of lords in exchange for their labor. The Catholic Church also played a significant role in providing welfare during this era. In medieval times, almshouses were established as places of shelter for the poor and infirm. These institutions evolved over time and eventually led to modern state-sponsored welfare systems in many countries. While welfare systems can support and stabilize capitalist economies, the relationship between capitalism and welfare systems can also be fraught with tension. Capitalism can have several negative effects on welfare systems, including underfunding, increased inequality, and political challenges. Let's explore these key negative impacts. First up, budget constraints. Capitalist economies often prioritize reducing government spending to maintain economic growth. This can lead to underfunding of welfare systems, resulting in reduced access to essential services and programs. Secondly, pressure to reduce spending. Capitalist governments are under constant pressure from the private sector to cut spending on social assistance programs in order to make room for investment in economic growth. This can further exacerbate existing inequalities within society. Lastly, political challenges. Capitalist governments may face pressure from the private sector to prioritize economic growth over social policies and programs that support society's most vulnerable members. This can create a challenging environment for implementing effective welfare systems. So there you have it. While capitalism and welfare systems are not mutually exclusive, it's important to be aware of the potential negative impacts of a capitalist economy on our welfare systems. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of materialism and how it has evolved throughout different periods. So, let's get started. Materialism can be traced back to various historical periods. In ancient times, we have the pre-Socratic philosophers like Thales, Anaximander, and Anaximenes who believed that everything in the world could be reduced to a single material substance. This idea was further developed by Democritus and Plato's later writings. Moving on to the Hellenistic period, we have Epicurus and the Epicureans, who emphasized atoms as the fundamental substance of nature. Fast forward to the Roman period, and we see Lucretius continuing this thought with his poem on the nature of things. During the Renaissance period, materialism was revived by philosophers like Descartes and Hobbes, who saw nature as entirely mechanistic. Finally, in modern times, we have Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz and Baruch Spinoza pushing for a new understanding of materialism that incorporates spiritual elements. That's a quick overview of the history of materialism from ancient Greece to the modern era. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic: the unexpected consequences of the Industrial Revolution. Now, you might be familiar with the revolutionary technological advancements and economic growth that this era brought, but did you know that it also had some not-so-shiny side effects? One of the most significant impacts of rapid industrialization was urban crowding. Factories drew workers from rural areas like a magnet, causing cities to rapidly expand and become overcrowded. This influx of population led to a dire shortage of housing, poor sanitation, and a crumbling infrastructure that struggled to keep pace with the growing urban areas. But it wasn't just city dwellers who felt the pinch. Rural communities were also hit hard by this rapid change. The mechanization of agriculture displaced many farmers, leading to widespread unemployment and poverty in rural areas. The Industrial Revolution transformed societies worldwide, and its impact can still be felt today. So there you have it, folks, a glimpse into some of the unexpected consequences of this groundbreaking era in history.
Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of American scandals, exploring some of the most significant incidents from the country's past. So buckle up and let's embark on this historical journey together. Kicking things off in the 19th century, we have the infamous Hamilton-Burr duel. This was no ordinary altercation. Vice President Aaron Burr fatally shot former Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton in a bitter dispute. This incident not only ended Burr's political career, but also shed light on the intense rivalries of the era. Next up, we have Teapot Dome scandal from 1922. This was all about corruption within the Department of Interior, with two top officials found guilty of accepting bribes from private oil companies. The scandal led to criminal charges and even presidential elections being influenced by this notorious incident. Fast forward to 1948, and we have Truman's surprise announcement that he was running for re-election after initially saying he wouldn't seek a second term. This decision sparked mass hysteria, with many believing it was a sign that World War III was imminent. Finally, in 1954, Senator Joseph McCarthy came under fire for his alleged association with communists during his election campaign 2 years prior. The controversy ultimately led to his censure by his own colleagues in Congress for making false statements and violating Senate rules.
Centralized currency, often issued and regulated by a central authority such as a government or central bank, has a long and complex history that reflects the evolution of economies, political systems, and technological advancements. Let's start with ancient times. In the early days, people relied on the barter system, where goods and services were exchanged directly. This was inefficient and limited trade. But as societies grew and developed, so did the need for a more efficient system. Enter centralized currency. Centralized currency has had a significant impact on our world, shaping economies, politics, and even the way we think about money. It's a fascinating topic, and we hope you enjoyed this brief overview. Baphomet is a complex figure, and its history has evolved significantly over time, encompassing religious, esoteric, and popular cultural contexts. So, let's take a detailed look at the history of Baphomet. First up, we have the medieval origins of Baphomet. This is where we find the earliest mentions of Baphomet, and they're found in the context of accusations against the Knights Templar during their trial by the Inquisition in the early 14th century. The Templars were accused of heresy, and Baphomet was introduced as a symbol of their alleged worship of a goat-headed idol. However, it's important to note that there's no evidence to support these accusations. In fact, the Templars were known for their devotion to the Christian faith. So, the story of Baphomet's origins with the Templars is more likely a product of the Inquisition's efforts to discredit the Templars and justify their suppression. Now, fast forward to the 19th century, and we have a different story. Baphomet was reimagined as a symbol of the occult, and it was associated with various esoteric traditions. In the 20th century, Baphomet gained popularity in popular culture, appearing in movies, books, and other media. From its early conceptual stages to becoming one of the most popular and enduring board games in the world, this journey is nothing short of amazing. So, let's dive right in. Did you know Monopoly was initially created to teach about poverty and wealth inequality? Monopoly's roots can be traced back to a game called the Landlord's Game, designed by Elizabeth Meiji in 1903. Meiji created this game to illustrate the economic principles of Georgism, which advocates for a single tax on land. It highlighted the dangers of land monopolies. The game was originally called the Landlord's Game, but it was later renamed the Landlord's Game to avoid confusion with the popular Monopoly game. Fast forward to 1935, when Charles Darrow, a Philadelphia salesman, created his own version of the game. He named it Monopoly and began selling it door to door. Darrow's version quickly gained popularity, and in 1935, he sold the rights to the game to Parker Brothers. And that's the incredible history of Monopoly. From its humble beginnings to becoming a household name, this game has captured the hearts and minds of millions of players worldwide. Universal Studios and the various criticisms it has faced over the years. As a prominent player in the global entertainment industry, Universal Studios has been subject to scrutiny regarding its capitalistic practices. First up, let's talk about Universal's market dominance and media consolidation. This is a topic that's been hotly debated, especially in light of their various acquisitions and mergers. For example, their acquisition of DreamWorks Animation and their merger with Universal have raised some eyebrows. Next, let's touch on Universal's labor practices. While they've made some strides in this area, there's still room for improvement. For instance, their use of temporary workers and their treatment of actors have been called into question. Moving on, we have the environmental impact of Universal Studios. Their theme parks and film productions have been accused of contributing to deforestation and other environmental issues. Lastly, let's discuss Universal's broader influence on culture and society. Some argue that their content can be harmful or contribute to the spread of misinformation. Now, this is a complex and multifaceted narrative, so buckle up and let's get started. Google's story begins in 1998, when it was founded by the brilliant minds of Larry Page and Sergey Brin. The company quickly rose to fame thanks to its groundbreaking PageRank algorithm, which revolutionized the way we search the web. However, as Google grew in size and influence, concerns about its monopolistic practices began to surface. Legal challenges and regulatory scrutiny followed, and the company found itself in the spotlight for its business practices. Throughout the 2000s, Google continued to face criticism and scrutiny. In 2013, the company was fined $22.5 million for violating privacy laws in France. And in 2018, it was hit with a record-breaking $5 billion fine from the European Commission for abusing its dominance in online search. Despite these setbacks, Google has made significant changes to its business practices in recent years. For example, it has agreed to pay a $90 million settlement to resolve a class action lawsuit over its search practices. So there you have it, folks. A brief overview of the history of Google's monopolistic practices. This labor system was prevalent in various parts of the world, particularly during the 17th and 18th centuries. Let's explore its early origins and how it evolved over time. Indentured servitude has its roots in ancient and medieval labor systems where individuals worked for a specific period, often in exchange for various benefits such as passage to a new land, shelter, or food. This system was common in many parts of the world, including Europe, Africa, and the Americas. In Europe, for instance, indentured servitude was often used to address labor shortages and to provide a means for people to move to new lands. In Africa, it was often used as a way for individuals to escape harsh living conditions and find better opportunities. In the Americas, it was a key component of the colonial labor system, particularly in the Caribbean and the southern United States. That's a brief overview of the history of indentured servitude. Apple Inc. has faced numerous allegations and investigations regarding monopolistic practices, particularly related to its control over the App Store and other aspects of its business. Let's take a look at the history of these concerns. First up, we have the App Store control. Since its launch in 2008, Apple's App Store has been the only authorized marketplace for apps on iOS devices. Developers must comply with Apple's guidelines and pay a 30% commission, later reduced to 15% for smaller developers on in-app purchases. This has raised concerns about Apple's monopolistic practices. Next, we have the iMessage and FaceTime exclusivity. These services are only available on iOS devices, and Apple has been accused of using them to prevent users from switching to other platforms. Then, there's the App Store's lack of competition. Apple has been criticized for not allowing other app stores on iOS devices, which has led to concerns about the App Store's monopolistic practices. Lastly, we have the iPhone's locked bootloader. This has been a source of controversy as it prevents users from installing custom firmware or modifying their devices. So, there you have it, folks. A brief overview of the history of monopolistic practices allegations against Apple.
Amazon has faced significant scrutiny and criticism over monopolistic practices throughout its history. Let's take a look at some of the major points and developments. First off, Amazon was founded in 1994 as an online bookstore. It quickly grew into a massive e-commerce platform, thanks to its aggressive pricing strategies, extensive product range, and focus on customer satisfaction. This allowed it to dominate various retail sectors. However, this rapid growth also led to accusations of predatory pricing. Amazon has been accused of using its market power to drive out competitors and then raising prices once they're gone. This practice has been a point of contention for many, leading to increased scrutiny and criticism. Did you know that Facebook, now known as Meta Platforms Inc., has faced numerous allegations and investigations regarding monopolistic practices? This social media giant, founded in 2004, has been accused of using its early dominance and network effects to create significant barriers for new entrants. Facebook's network effects, where the value of the platform increases as more people use it, have been a key factor in its success. This has allowed the company to leverage its user base to gain a significant advantage over its competitors. But wait, there's more. Facebook has also been accused of engaging in anti-competitive practices, such as acquiring potential rivals and using its market power to negotiate unfair terms with app developers. So, what does this all mean? It's clear that Facebook has faced some serious allegations and investigations over the years. But don't worry, we'll keep you updated on the latest developments in this fascinating story.
AT&T, originally known as the American Telephone and Telegraph Company. Did you know that this telecommunications giant has a long history intertwined with monopolistic practices and regulatory scrutiny? Let's take a detailed look at some key events in its history. First up, we have the *** formation and early monopoly 1885 to 1913 ***. AT&T was established in 1885 as a subsidiary of the Bell Telephone Company, founded by the legendary Alexander Graham Bell. By the early 20th century, AT&T had effectively created a monopoly in the U.S. telephone industry through aggressive acquisitions and control. Next, we have the *** regulatory scrutiny and antitrust suit 1913 to 1980 for ***. This period saw AT&T facing intense regulatory scrutiny and an antitrust suit. The company was forced to divest its long-distance operations, leading to the creation of the Baby Bells. Finally, we have the *** modernization and deregulation 1984 present ***. This era saw AT&T embracing digital technology and facing deregulation, which allowed it to re-enter the long-distance market. Qualcomm is a major player in the semiconductor and telecommunications industry. This company has faced numerous allegations and investigations related to monopolistic practices over the years. So, let's take a closer look at some key events and developments in Qualcomm's history. First up, we have the company's founding and early growth period from 1985 to 2000. Qualcomm was established in 1985 and quickly became a leader in digital wireless communications technologies, particularly through the development and commercialization of CDMA code division multiple access technology. By the early 2000s, Qualcomm had become a household name in the telecommunications industry. However, as the company continued to grow, it faced numerous allegations and investigations related to monopolistic practices. One of the most significant cases was the 2017 antitrust lawsuit filed by the Federal Trade Commission, which accused Qualcomm of engaging in exclusionary conduct and charging excessive royalties for its patents. This case was eventually settled in 2019, with Qualcomm agreeing to pay a $2 billion fine and make changes to its licensing practices. Despite these challenges, Qualcomm remains a major player in the semiconductor and telecommunications industry. It's fascinating to see how this company has evolved over the years and how it has faced both successes and setbacks along the way. Intel was founded in 1968 and quickly became a dominant player in the semiconductor industry, especially with the development and commercialization of its microprocessors. By the 1990s, Intel had established a near monopoly in the market for personal computers, thanks to its dominance in the microprocessor market. However, this dominance led to concerns about Intel's business practices, and in 1990, the Department of Justice launched an antitrust investigation into the company. The investigation focused on Intel's efforts to restrict the use of non-Intel microprocessors in personal computers, which were seen as a potential threat to Intel's dominance. In 2000, Intel settled with the Department of Justice, agreeing to pay a $1.25 billion fine and change its business practices. This settlement marked a turning point for Intel as it began to diversify its product line and address concerns about its monopolistic practices. That's a wrap on our overview of Intel's history with monopolistic practices.
Ticketmaster is a major player in the ticket sales and distribution industry. Over the years, Ticketmaster has faced numerous allegations and investigations related to monopolistic practices. So, let's take a look at some key events and developments that have shaped this industry giant. First up, let's talk about Ticketmaster's early growth and market dominance. Founded in 1976, Ticketmaster quickly became the dominant force in the ticketing industry, securing exclusive contracts with major venues and artists. By the 1990s, Ticketmaster had established a near monopoly. However, this dominance didn't come without controversy. In 2009, the Department of Justice launched an antitrust investigation into Ticketmaster's practices, alleging that they were engaging in anti-competitive behavior. This investigation, along with others, has helped shape the ticket sales and distribution industry as we know it today. That's it for today's overview of Ticketmaster's journey. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more interesting content. Until next time, stay informed and keep exploring.
Living in a city of lights, money rules day and night. Dreams sold at a high price, people caught in a vice. Hustle hard just to survive, chase the green to feel alive. Empty pockets filled with strife, broken dreams cut like a knife. Chasing shadows all the time, bank accounts with not a dime. Dollar signs in every rhyme, capitalism is a crime. Promises of wealth and fame, just illusions in the game. Rich get rich, poor stay the same. Who's to blame? It's all a shame. Factories and broken homes, corporate greed pollutes the domes. People left to fend alone, iron fists turn hearts to stone. Chasing shadows all the time, bank accounts with not a dime.